Well, hello angels and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell, today we are back with a brand new video. So this is another book video, if you couldn't tell by the title. I do just want to apologise really quick for the background. Obviously I am not in my usual background. I'm back home for Christmas and I have all my other videos filmed. But because this is my yearly wrap up of what I've read this year, obviously I couldn't film this at my house because I'm home for Christmas and New Year's and all that jazz. So it was very difficult for me to do that, but here we are. I also do want to also apologise for my voice because I currently have a cold. It's not COVID. I have tested a lot, so it's not that. It's this horrible cold that everyone seems to currently have. It's on its way out. I still have a cough, sound like an idiot, and I have a bit of a cough. I think I said that. I'm sniffling a lot. But that being said, I do want to film this video. Also, another problem with this video is obviously I want to film my yearly wrap up. I want to share with you the books I read this year and what I rated them. But also, I don't have any of the books with me. So this is going to be interesting. So, I've downloaded all the books that I read this year. I've downloaded the cover photos and I've got them on my iPad. So this should be kind of easy to kind of show you which books I read, instead of me having to grab all the books off my shelf because I don't have them. I literally only have one of the books I read this year and that's the one that I just finished reading. I also have some hauls or a haul coming for you, book related, after this video at some point because I only got 2 books for Christmas. I bought myself one with some Christmas money. And then I bought myself 6 books today. Somehow I ended up in Waterstones and spent £6. I bought 6 books, what I meant to say. And I was only in there for 5 minutes after work today. And then I also bought 7 online, so I've got them to show. But also excuse the makeup stitch that's going on. Obviously it's rubbed off on my nose, and I'm very shiny, but I started work at 12 today, which isn't too bad. I had a 5-hour shift. It's now 8 o'clock and my makeup's just very sweaty and it's not it. But, and I apologise about this lighting, but I've just put my lamp on because I didn't bring my ring light home. That being said, let's jump straight in with the video. I will try and tell you what I rated these books if I can remember. If not, then it'll be a surprise for both of us to figure out what I rated it. Okay, it's going to be difficult to rate them because do I really remember what I was reading and what I rated them from the beginning of this year? It's been a year. So before we jump in, I did read a total of 80 books this year. It's currently the 28th of December, and I've just finished reading my 80th book. So I think because last year I really got into reading a lot more during the lockdown. Obviously I read before that, but it was nowhere near this many books a year, especially 2019. I think I read like 20 maybe, which is still like a good thing. I never really used to set like goals just because there's a lot of things that come with reading goals. Like a lot of people will choose really short books so that they can get their goal up and say, oh, I read 200 books, you know, but they were like 100 pages, which is fine, like it's a book, but people won't pick up a long book is what I'm trying to say. Or if a book's like not really that great, they won't finish it. But I'm very much like I want to finish a book and I like reading long books. So the reading goal for me is just personal thing. It's how many books that I want to expose myself to kind of new books a year basically. So I love a reading goal, but if I don't ever pass it, I don't ever feel bad about it. So originally I set my reading goal for 2021 as 50 books, and as I hit that pretty early on, it kept changing, because the books I read at the beginning of the year, there was like 16 in the series and I finished them in like March, maybe before, or February, March time, and obviously I'd read like a few books before them anyway. So I kept changing it, and now we're at 80. It did take me about a week and a bit to read the last book. I have read it before, but I went back to work, and I've been at work ever since I got home from uni, so I've not had a chance to read or basically do anything with my life. But I've been talking a lot, so let's get into the books that I read. So the first book that I read was Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. So I think this book was 4 stars. I really don't know, but I'm giving it 4 stars now from what I can remember. So I actually love this book. Obviously this book is basically the first book of Twilight from Edward's perspective. Really good book, definitely recommend it. I'm gonna say it's 4 stars because I genuinely do not remember at all. I'm not gonna dwell too much on each book, just because there's 80 books to get through, and also probably from like June or July I was doing books I read in the month, so I will go more into book in those ones from before, but if not I can go more into books whenever. But yeah, that's that. So the next book I read was Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. So this book, I want to say this is 5 stars. This was a really good book. For me, this was 5 stars. I just loved everything about this book. It was really, really good. I would recommend it to anyone. It's basically this black woman. She is basically this white child's nanny, and they went to the supermarket, just the 2 of them, and people thought that she was trying to steal the kid, and there's a whole lot of like colour issues in the book, and I thought it was really interesting and gave me more of an insight of what people have to deal with, and I thought that was really interesting, and I just feel like people need to read that because I didn't know I needed to read it until I did. So there's that. So the next one we have is The Cousins by Karen M. Mckannis. So I've read 3 of her books before, and I read this one this year. I'm gonna say this book is a 4.5 stars. Couldn't really remember when I rated it, but that's what I'm saying now because here we are. I really love this book. This book is very much up my street. Actually, I think this was 5 stars actually. I think it was 5 stars. Yeah. Basically this book is very much up my street. Very much, it's got the mystery, it's got crime, it's like young adult, and it just has all the elements there that I love in a book. So yeah, that's that one. So the next one we have is Sweet Freak by Sophie Mackenzie. This is also another book that is right up my street. So this is mystery, a little bit, I won't really say crime for this one, but like mystery and things like that. I think I actually rated this a 4. I think. I really don't know. The next one we have is Lies Like Poison by Chelsea Pitcher. This also is right up my street. It's a mystery crime novel. Young adult. I'm pretty sure it's young adult. But I loved everything about this book, and I'm very glad that I don't even know how I found this. Really couldn't tell you. This was before my whole book talk introduction where I was finding books on Book Talk, so I'm not really sure where this book came from or where I found it. I probably went on Goodreads and was like books similar to this book, and this is where we ended up. But I think this was 4 stars, but I loved everything about this book, to be honest. The next one we have is Dead Popular by Sue Woolman. I think this was either 3.5 or 4 stars. It's very much up my street. It's very much there in the young adult mysteries kind of thing. The next one we have, this isn't the cover I have, but this is The Cheerleaders by Cara Thomas. I love everything about this book. I think this was either 4 or 5 stars. I don't really remember right this minute, but you know. But I really love this book. Obviously it's a mystery. The first line always gets me. I think the first line is this house was made for someone without a soul or something. I really love this book. So next one we have, this is when well, I kind of started learning a little bit about the book TikTok. I wasn't really buying many books, but this was the first one that I read that was very popular. So this is where we have We Were Liars. So I read this twice this year, we'll get into that more. The first time I read it, it's right up my street, but the first time I read it, I gave it a 3. It wasn't really there. I didn't really understand it. It was kind of confusing, but I did change my rating later on. But right at the moment, I gave it, in my reading list, I gave it a 3. But I will talk more about that when we come to the second time reading it. So next one we have is Lying About Last Summer by Sue Woolman. So again, this is very much up my street. This is a 4 stars. Part it was kind of confusing. Next we have See How They Lie, also by Sue Woolman. I don't know what this one's about, to be honest, but I know that it's very much up my street and that I did really like it. And I think this was 3.5 or 4 stars. I really did like this one. It's very much mystery. It's got all the great things for a book that I would love. So next we have a series, and there's 16 books in this series. So I'm just gonna go through all the books. I'm not gonna explain them. I'm just gonna tell you what I rated them because there's a lot, and this video is going to be really long otherwise because we're not even halfway through the year yet. So, you know. So I read the Pretty Little Liars series, which I feel like was a long time coming because I've been obsessed with the TV series for years and I've always wanted to read the books. And this, obviously after the lockdowns and everything, I feel like I just had to read them, you know. So the first one, I give 5 because it was just, I know I said I wasn't going to go into it, but I love how the series differs from the TV series. Obviously this was written first, but I love how they're very different, and I love how the TV show didn't stick to the books all the time because there was still very much suspense in the books that I really, really loved. So then we have Flawless, which was 4 stars. And then we have Perfect, which I'm pretty sure was 4 as well. Then we have Unbelievable, which I think was 5. And then you have Wicked, which I think was either 4 or 5. All of them are 4 or 5 stars. I'm going to say that, and I'm just going to tell you them because I can't remember if they were 4 or 5. But I'll just tell you the names. So you've got Wicked, Killer, Heartless, Wanted, Twisted, Ruthless, Stunning, Burned, Crushed, Deadly, Toxic, and Vicious. So those are 16 books in the series, and they're all rated either 4 or 5 stars. Can't really remember which one was which. I really, really love these books. I feel like the reason I loved it, they're probably all 5 to be honest with you. The reason I think I loved it so much was, one, that it's very much like mystery, crime, young adult sort of thing. That's very much what I read. That's what I love to read. And also because I've seen the TV series, and I loved how it differs completely from the show. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the show was only based on the first book, and the first book is different from the TV show from like the first few chapters, I think. So yeah, I love that, to be honest. So the next book that I read, this is another series, I've read 3 or 4 times before, I think, just because this was a time when I was broke, so I was just reading books that I had because I had no money, but we were, you know. So I read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Riordan. I love these books. They're very, I think, obviously they're favorite children. I think they're young adult, but they're very much on the young side of young adult, I would say personally. Just from the way they're written, I would say they are on the young side, but I do love them. So I'm pretty sure the first book is 4 or 5, couldn't tell you. Percy Jackson and Theatre of Monsters was the one I read next. This was 4, I think. Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse, also a 4. Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth, also a 4. And then, no surprise, Percy Jackson and The Last Olympian was also a 4. So the next series, I read another series. So this was also one that I have read before. So this is the Children of Eden series by Graceffa. So I love these books. I've read them a few times before. So the first book, I love every aspect of it. So I'm going to give it, it is a 5 stars, you know. This was 5. I'm pretty sure The Elites of Eden, which is also by Graceffa, which is the second in the series, I'm pretty sure I gave this 5 stars as well. And then you have Rebels of Eden, which is the third one and the final one. And I'm pretty sure I also gave this 5 stars as well. So on to the next series that I read. I did need another series. This one kind of goes, it does go off from Percy Jackson. So this is the Heroes of Olympus series. So this is, the first one I read was obviously The Lost Hero, which is the first one. And I think this was a 4 because this is geared a bit more towards the older audience, I'd say, because I think they're going with the audience that read Percy Jackson, and then when this came out, they kind of stayed with the audience that was growing a bit older, I feel like. But it is a 4. Then you have the Heroes of Olympus, the Son of Neptune, which was also a 4. And then I have Heroes of Olympus, Mark of Athena, which was a 4. Then you have the Heroes of Olympus, the House of Hades, a 4. And then the last one, which is the Blood of Olympus, which was also a 4, because they could have just been a little better. So after that, I reread We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So this second time I read it, it did come out as a 5. I feel like I understood it more, and I feel like I probably would have given it a 5 the first go if I had just taken the time to kind of understand it a little bit more and see where it was going. But obviously this book is very controversial, and I can see both, well, not controversial, but people think it's overrated, and I can see both sides to each, you know. But it is a 5 for me. I do love it, and I do love the mystery, and obviously I never expected the ending. Obviously I knew it the second time reading, but it is still a 5 star for me. So next book we have is The Glass House by Eve Chase. So this book was gifted to me from a friend for my birthday. So we're hitting the middle of the year here, because I got this just before my birthday, and my birthday is the end of May, which is almost so we're getting into the middle of the year now, you know. But my friend that got me this book, right, don't know how she knew what books I like to read, but she really hit the mark with this. I hadn't seen her in over a year by the time that I saw her and she gave me this book. It had been like a year. And I didn't know how that worked anyway, because I only met her in first year at uni. So the fact that she managed to kind of get this book and it be right on my street was very spot on. But this was a 5 star book for me. I absolutely loved this story, and I don't think I could have loved it more. So this is where I start, I think, to kind of get into like the TikTok books, the ones that are popular on TikTok, you know. I feel like everyone's read the ones that I'm about to say soon, but we have to talk about them. So I read this book around my birthday. I read it on my birthday. I remember reading it on my birthday. So this is how I remember the years, you know. So this was it. This is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is a 5 star book for me. I actually love this book. I'm not going to say much about it because this video is getting long, but yeah, it's 5 stars. The next one I read is Cinderella Is Dead by Kaelin Bayron. This is also 5 stars. I love this book, and this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. The next book we have, I reread some books, so yeah, that's that. So this is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is a 5 star book for me. And then we have the second book in the series, because I got it for my birthday, which is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, which I read the first one. I think this was a 4 star book for me, just because it was 4.5, I think. It just didn't hit like the first one did, you know. Next book I have is Crave by Tracy Wolff, and this is 5 stars. I love this book. I love the mystery, I love the fantasy, I love all of it. So after that I read Crush by Tracy Wolff. I gave this a 4, I remember, just because there's a love story that I didn't love in there, you know. So the next one we have is They Both Die at the End, and I gave this by Adam Silvera, and I gave this a 4. It was good, but I feel like it could have been a bit better, you know. And then have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and I'm pretty sure this was a 5. Can't remember, it's been a long time. But yeah, that was a good one. We then have The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. This was the first book that I had read by her, and I absolutely love her style and how she writes, and I love the idea and the little romance in the story. And I'm pretty sure I gave that a 4 or 5. Can't remember. And then have Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia. I keep saying her name wrong. Delia Owens. This, I'm pretty sure this was a 4.5 or a 5. It's been a while. But that being said, it was really, really good and I loved it. The next one we have is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, and this was a 2. Next one we have is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. So this I actually brought off my dad. I saw it on my dad's bookshelf, and I noticed the author's name, Matt Haig, who wrote The Midnight Library, and I was like, I talked to my dad. My dad is, I'd call him a reader, you know, like me. Probably where I get it from. And he has like this bookshelf in the dining room, and I always look at it, and I never really reads them. And I'm like, how long have you had this book, Dad? Because I want to read it. I think he's had it since it came out, and he's not read it, but I read it. It was a very good book. It's a 4. It was a very good book, you know? Okay, the next book has to be absolutely one of my favourite books in the world, okay? This is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I couldn't love this book anymore than I actually do. Obviously, it's 5 stars. It's one of my favourite books ever. It's not usually a book that I'd pick up, but I loved it. Next one we have is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey Mcquinston. I think this was a 5-star read. So next one we have is Influence by Sarah Shepherd and Lilia Buckingham. So Sarah Shepherd was the one that wrote the Pretty Little Liars series, so I knew that I would like this book. This book has like the mystery, it's all there. I really love this. I think it was a 4. I think I'm talking really fast, but I'm trying to just get through all these books because I've still got a long time to go. So next one we have is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I didn't love this book as much as it probably, you know. I think this was like 3.5 or 4. I think this was a 3.5 or a 4 stars. I don't remember. I don't really know what could have made it better, but the next one we have is The Switch by Beth O'Leary. This is the second book that I read by her, and I actually love this book. I think it was a 4. Can't really remember. It's been a while, but that was a really, really great book. The next one we have is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. So this is the 3rd book in the series from A Good Girl's Guide to Murder that I read earlier in the year. This is a 5-star read. I loved all the mystery and the crime and everything that happened in this book. So the next one we have is Cirque by Madeline Miller. I think this was 4. I liked this better than I liked The Song of Achilles by her. So that was that. We move on. Next one we have is Ace of Spades by, I feel like I'm going to say this wrong, Farida Abik Imedid. That's definitely wrong, and I do wholeheartedly apologise. You have butchered that. I'm already done. But I love her writing. I love this book. This book was right on my street, and it was everything. It was 5 stars. It was everything. The next we have is Law by Alexandra Bracken. I love this book. I'm pretty sure this was a 4.5 or a 5. So the next book we have is This Poison Heart by Kaelin Bayron. So obviously this is the author that wrote Cinderella is Dead. This book is 5 stars. I loved this book. The next book that I read was Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. I love this book. It's very different from what I would usually read. I'm pretty sure this was 4.5 or 5. So the next one I read was The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I did really love this book. I think it was like 4.5 or 5 or 4. Don't remember, but it was really a good book and it was really, really up there. It's really good. Next one we have is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I didn't love this book, I will have to say. I think I gave it a 3. The next I have is Olive by Emma Gannon. So So this was either a 4 or a 5, I can't even remember. The next one I have is The Castaways by Lucy Clark. I love this. I think this was a 5-star. I absolutely love this book, and I did not expect the twist at the end. I loved it. The next one we have is Hidden Secrets by Sophie Mackenzie. I loved this book. I think it was a 4 just because I think it's geared a lot more towards the younger side of young adult. So next I have Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Leanne Taylor. It's a 3. It wasn't there. It's a series. The first one is better than the rest, but it's also a 3. Then we have Days of Blood and Starlight. It's a 2. And then we have Dreams of Gods and Monsters, which was also a 2. The next ones we have is The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting by Ivana Lynch. So this is hard to rate because it is it's an autobiography, so it's non-fiction. But that being said, it was a 5 stars for me. So next one I have is The Magpie Society 2 for Joy by Zoe Sugg and Amy McCulloch. So this was a 5-star read. I then have Walking on Sunshine by Giovanna Fletcher. This was also a 5-star read. So now we're into the Christmas book, so obviously we're near the end of the year. So I read The Unwrapping of Theodora Quirk by Caroline Smiles. So I read this book last year and I wanted to read it again because I couldn't really remember it, but I think it was like 4 stars. It's pretty good. It's a good book. Then I have Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. I really loved this book. I think this was 5 for me. It was really good. I really loved it. And then have For Me Twice at Christmas by Camilla Isley. Also love this book. It was a really lovely Christmas book. And I think it was 4. Then have The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox, who I found out is not actually a name. It's not a person. It's 2 people and they've made a creative name for that, you know. This was also 4. It was really good. And then on to the last book that I read this year that I actually do have because it's the only one I have with me. I've read this many times before, and if you watch my book videos, this will not be a surprise to you. But I read On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher. I'm reading all her books at the moment again. I like to reread them annually. I was hoping to get through all of her books by the end of the year. But as I said, I've been reading this for over a week and a half because I did go back to work, and when you're working until like 3 in the morning, your last thing you want to do is come home and read, to get up and go and do it all again the next day. But yeah, either way, 5-star for me. I did do a podcast episode on this if you're interested. But yeah, so that is all 80 books that I read this year. I feel like I'm missing one. Okay, so that is the end of all 80 books that I read this year. I don't know how many I plan to read next year. That's, not, I probably will set it at like 50 again just to see what happens with that. Because I don't know what the next year holds. I'm going into I'm already in my 3rd year at uni. And it gets really crazy after Christmas and New Year's, and then I finish my degree in May and then need to try and find a job, so that's interesting. But yeah, my next goal I think is going to be 50, but we'll see where that goes. So if you liked this video of my yearly wrap up of the books I read this year, please like and subscribe because I would love to have you around. And I'll see you again next time. All my love, angels. Bye.